Good evening and welcome to the Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting for Monday, May 12th, 2014. Call to order.
Sure, yes.
Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Here.
Ms. Santafonte? Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas?
Here.
Mrs. Haley?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer? Ms. Soissant?
Here.
And Mr. Kinst. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Whereas the Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975 provides that a public body may exclude the public from that portion of a meeting of which the public body discusses certain matters for which confidentiality is required as permitted in Section 7B of the Act. The following matters are to be discussed: the non-renewal of non-tenured staff and a personnel matter. The matters discussed in executive session shall be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstentions.
Abstentions? We are now in closed session.
Finance and facilities.
We are back from executive session. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Here.
Ms. Santafonte?
Here.
Mr. Dutta?
Here.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas?
Here.
Mrs. Haley?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Here.
Ms. Soissant?
Here.
And Mr. Kinst. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have quite a bit of correspondence that is listed on the agenda. And right now, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Shipp for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight we have professionals from Honeywell as well as from other areas to help us with our energy savings improvement plan. Tonight we're going to receive a presentation from these professionals, and the board is going to be asked to approve the next steps in our ESIP process. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Mahmood to introduce our guests.
Thank you, Dr. Schiff. Our professionals here tonight to answer questions from our board. Obviously, we have representatives from Honeywell who will be making the bulk of the presentation tonight. We do have board counsel, Mrs. Gorab, who will be representing the board legally throughout this process. We have, Mrs. Gorab, thank you. We have Mrs. Lyons is in the office, who will be our financial advisor as we go through the Energy Savings Improvement Plan. And we have a representative from Sumgen, our architect of record, Greg Sumgen. Mr. John Carlton is here. So board members, as Honeywell presents tonight, please feel free to not only ask Honeywell questions, but also our list of professionals as well. Joe, I think you're ready to rock and roll. You're about 2 hours is your presentation, or is it about 10 minutes? I'll go for the latter, Joe.
I just want to know how to lower the microphone.
Very low.
I don't think I have it.
Joe, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself from Honeywell. Thank you.
Sure will. Got it. Good evening. My name is Joe Kasha. I'm the account executive for Honeywell. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to provide an overview for you this evening of the Energy Savings Improvement Program. I've had the privilege of working with very, very talented professionals over the past 8 months in developing this plan, and we're very comfortable and very confident that it's going to meet the goals of the districts as we've already discussed over that period. The Energy Savings Improvement Program enables school districts, municipalities, and public entities to do projects within their buildings and pay for it out of energy savings. Key factors to this is that there are no capital dollars required, and there's absolutely no impact on the taxpayer. Some of the features of this in the program and the plan that we've put together does a comparison of savings versus last year's operating budget. So what that means is that it's a conservative in nature in terms of any inflation factors with this year's budget. All the project energy savings and the total price of the project is completely guaranteed by Honeywell. graph shows an overview of what the ESEP program consists of. The pie chart on the left is your operating budget as you see it today. It consists of PSE&G, JCP&L, and Elizabethtown Gas. That's the utility portion of the budget. The maintenance portion of the budget includes repairs, breakdowns, repairs by outside vendors, repairs by your inside staff, parts, labor, basically the requirement to maintain outdated equipment. The goal of the Energy Savings Improvement Program is the pie chart on the right. Reduce the amount of money you spend on breakdowns, reduce the amount of money you spend in repairs, as well as utilizing technology to become more energy efficient within the whole district. The bottom line is that the savings generated by doing this work goes right back into your building. Bottom line again is that there's no capital outlay and no tax impact associated with this. And the project is funded by rebates, energy, and operational savings. This is money that the school district is already paying. The difference is instead of paying it to the utility company or to a repair company, you're putting the money back into your own building. And Honeywell will guarantee the results. As a point of reference, the timeline of this project started almost 2 years ago. The administration and some members of this board, as well as previous board members, initiated the process in October of 2012. And to this point, we followed the process of New Jersey to get to the point where we have developed an entire energy savings plan and delivered it in March of this year. Subsequently, the energy plan in itself, as required by law, has been approved by a third party. The calculations and the energy savings have been approved by a third-party engineering firm that was retained by the Board of Education. Additionally, on May 5th, the Board of Public Utilities for the state of New Jersey also approved the plan. So should the board decide to take action this evening, the goal and the plan for construction is to begin towards the end of this summer. The plan wouldn't be complete if we didn't meet the goals of the school district. And so we found out early on some of the goals of the school district and want to make sure that we touched on each one of those. Energy and operational efficiency, getting more out of your dollars that you spend in this district was a must. And so that's the top of the list. Secondly, we wanted to provide mechanical and electrical repairs without any additional burden on the taxpayer. And that's what this plan accomplishes. We also wanted to directly impact the learning environment. And so what's included in this plan is additional cooling in this school up on the second floor in the back wing, and also several wings of the high school. So there's going to be cooling as part of this program, and yet we were still able to find enough savings to support the program in general. We wanted to develop an energy education awareness program. So what you're going to see in the lobbies of every school is literally a real-time display of how that building is currently operating once this project is complete. And of course, lastly, we wanted to improve the sustainability, reduce the carbon footprint of this school district, and reduce the greenhouse gas emissions that are typically generated. This is an eye chart, I realize that, but this is a technical overview, and Dan and Paul, would you open these up for the public, please? This is a technical overview of the projects that we intend to use that are part of this program that are in the plan. You can see that we're touching every school within the district. Some more than others depending on the overall effectiveness of the energy conservation measure, or ECM. And for example, lighting will be done in every school district. And this is the easiest way to explain energy and operational savings. Currently, there are some 34,000 light bulbs in the district. They all burn approximately 32 watts. We're going to be replacing those light bulbs with light bulbs that burn 15 watts. There's your energy savings. Operationally, the current technology used in the school burn those light bulbs for approximately 18 to 20,000 hours. The new bulbs are going to be burned or rated to burn at 100,000 hours. So there's your operational savings. It's going to be a long time before you change bulbs again. Additionally, some more complex solutions include boiler replacements at 5 schools. We're looking at rooftop unit replacements in several schools. And an important aspect of this program is also the building management system. It's important to note that your facilities personnel will have the ability to remotely monitor and control all the buildings in the district. But this goes a little bit deeper. Included in the building management upgrades is going to be what we call retro-commissioning of all of the unit ventilators in all of the elementary schools. Essentially what that means is we're going to put them in firm and good operating condition. So when you're going down Amwell Road in the dead of winter and it's 0 degrees outside, you're going to see all the windows at Hillsborough Elementary School closed and not open. Again, we want to impact the learning environment. That's the business you're in. Overall, there's window replacements involved, transformer upgrades, as well as water conservation. So you're going to see a few different toilet bowls in the district. From a financial standpoint, I want to emphasize one more time that the energy savings are guaranteed. The operational savings have been approved by the Board of Public Utilities, and we've identified them in detail with your administration. And in this particular case, the district costs are protected. What Honeywell is going to be providing here is a firm fixed price agreement. So what that means is that we are obligated to publicly bid the trades under this law. But Honeywell will guarantee absolutely no change orders. We've provided an estimate of hard costs to the district, and once those bids are out and they come in, if they should be over the amount that we estimate, Honeywell will absorb the cost associated with that. If the costs are lower than the hard costs we've identified, the school district retains those savings. They get to do more work, or you can get a credit associated with the project in general. All in all, the district remains whole, and they get to feel the assurance of Honeywell backing them up every step of the way. We're also looking at approximately $1.7 million in rebates, which is going to offset the financials of this. And the way the financial structure is done is that all the work gets completed, all the savings begin and get started, and then the school district starts paying for the retrofits. Project savings will exceed project costs, and that includes all costs. What we mean by that is it pays architectural and engineering fees, it pays the legal fees, it pays the financial fees, it also pays for the interest rate that's going to be part of the program. Again, the goal is no capital outlay and no change to your operating budget. By the numbers, we're looking at a $15.1 million project. With rebates, it's 13.3. Overall, we're looking at guaranteed energy savings over the term of $20 million, but projected energy and operational savings of some $23 million. It's a significant part of your utility bill. It's based on 47% of your current utility usage. It does include water in that calculation, but that's gas, electric, and water as you use it today. What you see here are a list of customers that have already implemented these programs and the savings that have been achieved or identified by a third-party verification. Many of these school districts are already underway and gleaning the savings as we speak. It almost looks like a Raider wrestling tournament because there's Bridgewater in there, North Hunterdon and Voorhees, Phillipsburg. So it looks like one of the tournaments we hold. All in all, the whole point of this slide is to demonstrate that the savings are achievable and reasonable. Carbon footprint. Most people believe reducing or being sustainable requires renewable technology and renewable energies, when the simple fact of the matter is that the quickest way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to be good environmental stewards is to simply use less energy. In this particular project alone, we're looking at a reduction of nearly 7 million kilowatt hours to be really, really sustainable. The reduction in greenhouse gases is 2,400 tons, It's equivalent to taking 417 vehicles off the road and planting 251 acres of trees. This is a very, very green project. Next steps. Should the board take action this evening, you're authorizing the agreement itself and the ability for your financial advisor to go out and solicit the financing according to public contract law. The engineering and designing has already started. We've worked together with Perret Samjian to start to develop the bid specifications. And once the financing is executed, the bidding and the subcontractors will be selected. And again, we're planning on starting construction towards the end of this summer. That's the goal. Next steps, summary. This is a good project for the district. You're going to gain new building infrastructures throughout. That includes boilers and cooling. We're going to be improving sustainability throughout the district as a whole. No capital dollars, no tax impact, and guaranteed results. So now I'd open it up to the team. If you have any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Joe, for that thorough presentation. Just a clarification on the cooling. It is the second floor here at Aris, am I correct?
That's correct. The back wing, second floor, about 24 classrooms.
As well as the 100 and 200 wings of the high school, both upstairs as well as first floor.
That's correct.
Thank you. We'd like to open it up now for questions or comments from the board. Mr. Pulsford.
I'm not sure if this is for Joe or for Iman, but I noticed that the construction beginning in August. How long is this project expected to take, and what mitigation plans do we have to minimize the impact on instruction during this construction?
Mr. Pulsford, I think just one of our caveats when we talked to Honeywell was that we didn't want any alteration to instruction. So any of these projects, that's probably going to span over, I believe we're at 19 years, but the bulk of, like the light bulb changing, and one of the first things, the boilers that they're going to be changed, that a lot of these things, and we haven't gone through all the phonetics of identifying exactly the construction time, but the projects that are preliminary going to start in the summertime at the end of August, none of that. And our caveat with Honeywell and anything that we do with our construction projects will not affect the instructional environment. So the light bulb changing and going in and re-outfitting, that will be done without any alteration to the classroom. That's going to be sort of the mantra moving forward. Unfortunately, I couldn't, and I don't know if Joe's in a position to give a description of when the projects and the timeline. And Joe, if you
Sure,
want to go.
sure. We do these, that's a great question, Chris. We do these projects all the time, and if we were required to relate or just do the work in the summertime, we'd probably be out of business. Typically, and our project manager is here this evening, Bob Letzo, but he can probably go in further detail if I don't answer your question. But in essence, we count on doing everything on second shift. We make sure that the work is completed after the kids are out of the school. If we take advantage of holidays and Saturdays, but that's already factored into the plan. And it was one of the items that Dr. Schiff and Mr. Mahmood clearly emphasized, that we need to work around the school. The approximate construction period is about a year.
A year?
Okay.
1 year?
I'm sorry. That financing.
Not 19 years.
Financing. I apologize.
No,
Construction period is about a year. Yeah, we'd be in trouble. I'd be retired by
Financing will
then.
go a little longer.
I'll just clarify. No one gets, I'm correct, Joe, no one gets paid really until it's all done, so you want to finish it, right?
Correct. There's
Yeah.
progress payments just to keep us whole through the financing, but the school district itself is geared around, we've got a time schedule planned within the installation period, which was laid out by Mary of Phoenix Advisors.
So we don't start paying the bond until it's done.
Anyone else?
Lorraine?
So just to be clear, on your financial overview, you have a guaranteed energy savings of $20,686,000. That is projected over the term, you said, and is that 25 years?
So, no, so it's whatever the financing term is, should the school district elect to accept the guarantee over that time period. Honeywell is more than willing to guarantee the project over that time period, should the school district select to do that. But I'll leave that to
Yeah.
Dr.
May I
Schiff.
ask Mrs. Lyons to please come to the podium and just explain a little bit more of the financing to answer that question?
So we're planning on financing this project over a 19-year period. That isn't to say that the savings will only last for 19 years, but we're keeping in mind the interest rate, the interest cost, and also what lessors, what banks are willing to lend, the length of time for which banks are willing to lend money. 20 years is a little out there, so we're trying to keep it less than that, and we've talked to some lessors. We've gotten a sense that we are going to get some bids. This is going to be publicly bid, so you will go with the low bidder, and we've got some contingency plans in place to change the amortization schedule so that it matches your cash flow, it matches your revenues, and it matches the incentives. You will not start paying on this until the 2015-16 school year, which is the first year in which you're going to be realizing savings.
And yet construction will be going on prior to that.
That is correct.
Any other questions from the board? Any other thoughts? I'm good. That's it. All right, why don't we get some public comment from this? If there's any comments or questions from the public, we'd like to entertain that at this time concerning the ESIP. Seeing none, Madam President, I ask that we move on to action.
Thank you.
The resolution concerning the ESIP.
So that is item C2 on the agenda, correct, Mr. Mahmood?
Yes, that is correct, Mrs. Haley.
So what we are going to do is move that up. So,
Vote now.
yes. Can I have a motion to approve item C2 on the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas? Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Mrs. Soissons?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. So actually, can I have a motion just to take a 5-minute brief recess?
You don't need a motion.
But
You can act from the chair.
I'm in charge tonight, so
Bang
I
your
want to make as
gavel.
many motions as I can.
So ordered.
So, 5-minute recess. Thank you. Yeah.
A few pieces of good news that I would like to share with the board as well as the community. I am pleased to announce that AAA's Mid-Atlantic Foundation for Safety and Education has recognized Hillsborough Elementary School 4th grader Stephen Bordenero as Outstanding Safety Patroller of the Year 2014. Stephen was nominated by school staff and joined other outstanding safety patrollers from across New Jersey at an award ceremony held on April 24th. Stephen received a plaque as well as a gift card in recognition of his achievement. Let's give Stephen a big round of applause. I'm also pleased to announce that Hillsborough Middle School science teacher Michelle Hill was presented with the Richard Rotter Award for Excellence in Environmental Education from the Stony Brook Millstone Watershed Association. Michelle was presented with the award for her high level of enthusiasm and commitment to environmental education. Thank you for all of your hard work, Michelle. Congratulations. I would also like to extend my congratulations to Hillsborough High School senior Christopher Zhang, who was announced as one of approximately 1,000 children nationwide to be selected in the first round of the 59th Annual National Merit Scholarship Program. Congratulations, Christopher Zhang. And I understand that our girls softball team won the county tournament this past weekend. Congratulations to the Lady Raiders.
We're keeping our fingers crossed as the boys are actually playing as we speak right now for the county championship over at TD Bank Park. So hopefully we'll have good news to share at the next meeting as well.
Very good. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schiff. So now we are going to move on to the approval of minutes for April 28th regular meeting. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Actually, it's all in favor. May I have,
Oh, sorry about
Ms.
that.
Bartley show? May I have all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Motion passes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now we are going to move on to new business. First, I'd like to bring new business from the public,
Yeah, you can do that.
if we have any.
New business listed twice on the agenda.
Okay, you know what?
Fine, we'll go to committee reports,
Yeah.
and we'll come back to you.
We're going to come back to new business, actually. We're going to go right to committee reports. So we'll start with Mr. Pulsifer, as I'm looking at him first.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you,
The Human Resources Committee met last Wednesday evening. We started with a discussion of the process for non-tenured, non-renewals and renewals that we go through every year at this time, and Dr. Schiff gave us an overview of what will be transpiring, and you'll see the results of that on tonight's action agenda. We also had a discussion about a job description for a technology integration coordinator. This is part of our budget discussions about how we were going to staff and manage the one-to-one initiative and other tie-ins between academics and our technical programs. So the committee reviewed that job description. We then had a discussion on the position of fine and performing arts supervisor. A previous board, I don't remember now how many years ago, had eliminated this position at one point. The position had been reinstated. And I believe at the end of this school year, our current supervisor is retiring. So it seemed time to, since this position had been eliminated at one time in the past, to have a discussion about where the district wants to go with this position. Dr. Antunes was kind enough to join us for that meeting and give us an overview of what is covered in that area and what some of the responsibilities are and how much we need to have somebody in that position. The discussion continued about some of the other areas that we have for supervisor and academic areas and how we might realign some of those areas. And so there was no final decision by the committee, just a discussion and review of that position. And then we discussed some personnel transition issues. And then that was our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pulsifer. Mr. Gillette for operations.
Thank you. Operations Committee met last week. We saw the presentation on the ESIP that you just saw a few minutes ago. Mr. Mahmood gave us an update on the food service bids, which are currently out, and we'll be getting those back soon, including food service bid has one unique item this year. It includes a modification of the middle school lunch line or vending, what do you call that?
It's the lunch
The
line.
queue line to get food. So make that more efficient and maybe make it possible for more kids to actually have time to purchase, because that had been a problem. Also, Mr. Mahmood discussed with us the possibility of retaining our insurance advisor, Brown & Brown, somewhat unconventionally on a month-to-month basis. Typically, you're not required to hire a professional insurance consultant when you're in the state health benefits plan. Actually, when you're in a private plan, you don't hire a consultant at all. All their fees are paid through your insurance premiums. But we're examining if we can retain Brown & Brown, and the committee advised Mr. Mahmood that would be worthwhile, and we're looking to see if we can do that on a month-to-month basis for the 2014-15 school year.
Yep.
And I think we had one more item was, at our next meeting on May 19th, this will be our mid-year reorganization meeting where we appoint the professionals and the other bids and things that have to take place on our financial fiscal year, which begins July 1st. So I'll run through those real quick for you, what will be up for next couple weeks, next week. We plan to have on the agenda for renewal Energy for America for 1 year only. Our board attorney, Fogarty and Hara, the auditor, Vrabel and Associates, Perret Samjian Architect. A district appraiser has to be done by bid, and that has not been completed yet. Garbage disposal also will be done by bid. That hasn't been completed yet, but we'll have that for next week. Also, school physician, the bids did come back, and the lowest bidder was someone other than who we have now, but you're not required to take the lowest bidder.
We will. We will
So you're going to examine that. Do you have a comment, Mr. Moon?
No, we will recommend the lowest bidder next Monday.
Oh, you
for
are
the-
going to recommend
we-
the lowest bidder? That's news to me. That's good. That's different news than I had.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll take the lowest bidder, which, can I see who it is? It's primary care. Primary care. Yeah, we had been using your doctor's care, but we're going to switch to primary care. That'll be on for next week, and that's all we have.
That's great. Thank you very much, Mr. Gillette. And there were no other meetings held. So now, we're going to move on to, right, new business from the public? Okay. Any new business from the public at this time? Some familiar faces in the audience.
Hello, my name is Lena, and this is my colleague Josh and my other colleague Val. You may have seen us at these meetings to represent Team 75, and we would like to announce that I have become president of the team, and
You guys probably know me. I'm Josh, and I've been elected to the vice presidency of the non-technical department.
and we would like to now pass on the baton to Val Kroll.
She's going to be the spokesman.
Hello, my name is Valerie Kral, and I'm secretary of Team 75. The Robo Raiders just completed their competition season with great success. After 6 weeks of building a robot and preparing for competitions, the team went on to win the Champions Award for Robot Performance and the Engineering Inspiration Award, which is the second place award and first, at the Mount Olive District event, as well as the Chairman's Award, which is the first place award, at the Bridgewater Raritan District event. In mid-April, the Robo Raiders traveled to Lehigh University for the Mid-Atlantic's Robotics Region Championship. There, the team performed very well and won the Gracious Professionalism Award. Team 75 later qualified for the first World Championships, which was held in St. Louis, Missouri at the end of April. At the World Championships, Team 75 ranked 28 out of 100 teams in its division. Last week, we held our elections and have new executive leadership and new managers for our departments. Team 75 also plans on continuing its community service work throughout the year, even though it is not our build or competition season. It has been a successful season for Team 75, and we are looking forward to many more. On a separate note, we are still looking for teacher advisors, so if anyone knows any teachers who may wish to help us, please tell them to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to remind members of the public, not the Robo Raiders, just to state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Michael Basilone. My wife Danielle and I live at 2 Carriage Way. We have 3 kids, and 2 of them are actively in the Hillsborough school system. My wife and I wanted to express our disappointment in the decision to discontinue busing for non-IEP students in the integrated preschool program for 2014 to 2015. My son, Jeffrey, currently goes to Woods Road School for integrated preschool. He does take the bus, and we are hoping that next year he would also be able to attend. Because there won't be busing, and let me add that we pay for the busing for him, and I understand that it might not be the full price of what it costs to bus him. I really don't know that cost, but we do pay at least a portion of the fee to bus him. But unfortunately, we won't be able to have him go as a 4-year-old to the integrated preschool program because there will not be busing. I'm assuming that decision was made for budget reasons. I don't really know for sure. I'm wondering if it's possible that we could still pay the fee that we pay for busing, Maybe it'll be an additional fee. We really like Woods Road School. We really like the integrated preschool program. We were very happy that we won the lottery, and obviously you need children like my son that does not have an IEP to be in that program, to have an integrated program. And unfortunately, though, we won't be able to send him. That being said, you know, we physically can't be in two places at once. We have another daughter that takes the bus, that likes the bus, and it would break her heart if we picked her up every day from school. So unfortunately, we can't do that to her. But thanks for listening, and I'd appreciate if there was some answer that you could give me at some point. Thank you.
Thank you.
It wasn't for budget, right?
Thank you. Just to answer a few questions maybe from the board,
No,
yes?
Dr. Schiffer, maybe Mr. Mahmood, I don't think it was entirely for budgetary reasons. Is that correct? There's something else to it, no?
But- Yes, our prior director discussed not only issues of economy, but also the difficulty of actually getting another route for children throughout the district for that as well. This gentleman is correct that there was a fee that was assessed for partial transportation. These are for children that are in a voluntary, it's a tuitioned program for children who are not classified, who are in our preschool disabled classes. The decision was made and it was discussed at the board not to continue to provide transportation for non-classified students as a way to save money, frankly, within the program. We did have discussions about the difficulty in providing that transportation, even with the additional monies, but we can certainly continue that discussion. I do appreciate this gentleman bringing it to the board's attention.
Yeah, and if I could just say, not that I'm an expert, but the bus, I mean, I would assume that the buses have to go the same routes no matter what, because they're picking up the children that are classified.
It's actually a much smaller population of children that are dispersed throughout our community. So the decision was not made lightly, certainly. But we can continue to have those discussions. If you'd like to come up to me afterwards, I can take your information. We can follow up with you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public for new business?
Hi, my name is Catherine Payne. I have a son at Amsterdam and a few kids over at Woods Road School. And I just wanted to make you aware of a situation. My daughter, she's 7. She was forced to lick the bottom of a shoe in order to leave a bathroom. And I handled the matter very promptly and astutely with the mother. My daughter accidentally slipped up to a teacher at school who is, I believe the title is bullying coordinator. This person had informed our principal that I needed, in fact, to fill out a bully form. And it wasn't exactly bullying, and I was kind of like on the fence. We already solved it with the parent who made the kid. You know, everything was awesome again and forgotten. And I was pretty much told, you know, this was it. I had to do it. I had to fill the form out. I filled the form out, and of course, it all went to awfulness. And now the child is upset with my child. She's retaliated against my child. She ended up with an in-school detention for 3 days. And when my daughter brought this information home to me that she was now being retaliated with, that she was being told don't play with her, she licked shoes and other lovely things that kids do to kids. So now we went from a completely moot situation that was handled and rectified to a complete fireball. I sent my daughter back to the bullying coordinator, who had left a note on the principal's desk, who then sent an email to the principal. And this is the Thursday before spring break ended. Finally, she went and ran into the principal physically, this teacher, who is amazingly helpful to my daughter in this situation. And the principal turned around and said to the teacher that she had 10 minutes until her PTO, or sorry, paid time off, vacation, I don't know what you call it, but her vacation was starting in 10 minutes, and turned heel on the teacher. So when I reached out to the teacher on Friday, because now my daughter doesn't want to go to school, I explained the situation, had a conversation with Guy Whitlock, who was also leaving because now we're doing spring break, and Guy had to go get his pre-op things taken care of. So while the principal is on the beach, my daughter is stuck during spring break with this child. I'm sorry. Tormenting her for a week, and no principal or anyone to help her on the ground. So my first thing is we should really, really stop pushing the bullying form on parents who would otherwise have handled the matter much better and much less deflection on their own. In addition to the fact that if we're not going to be supported by the staff of the school, we need to just stop these kinds of policies in place, because it did absolutely nothing but make my daughter's month and a half left of school a nightmare for her. Requesting to have the child move, if from my child moved in the next class to not be with this child, is fantastic, but doesn't help her now. It's not bullying because it's not sex, religion, race, or creed. I get that, but it's still a bad situation that was made eminently worse. And I really am at kind of a wit's end with my daughter, the shoe licker now, as she's known throughout first grade.
I would like to contact you and
I would
talk
love
with
that.
you about this privately,
that.
so
I would love
that
that.
I can get all the information.
Thank you.
If you wouldn't mind leaving your contact information with us, we'd be more than happy to reach out to you. I'll speak with you tomorrow. Thank you.
Hi, Janet Walmacher, 24 Fox Hill Lane.
Kathy Olson, 1 Bennett Road.
We're here basically just to encourage you to rethink your position on not busing the seniors to graduation. I know there probably is only 2 of us here right now. I don't know if anybody else is, but I can tell you that the prevailing opinion is that it needs to be done. I realize that it's off-site. I kind of get, you understand why you're doing that. We understand that. We can't change that. But it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, trying to get everybody there by 1:30. As much as you might like to think everybody's just able to take the day off and whatever, not every parent is going to be able to leave their house by probably, noon, to get their kid there, which means some of them are going to be driving. Some of them are new drivers. They're driving to Trenton. They probably don't know where they're going that well. And I think it's a mistake to not have everybody in one place on a series of buses and getting them from point A to point B safely. I can understand not driving them home. We'll all be there to take them home. Get that, totally get that. But you really, really need to think it again, because I'd hate to see something happen, God forbid. It's a lot of variables, traveling from here to Trenton, new drivers, kids, people trying to rush to one place. Not a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Schiff, I do not know these women, just so that you know.
Okay.
But anyway, now I'm actually going to call for any comments from the public on the action agenda. Now would be the time to speak up.
I think they probably-
No? None? Okay.
Would you like to
So,
know?
go to the board for any new business from the, I'm sorry. You're looking at me like, okay, thank you.
I do have new business, but I don't want new business.
Mr. Gillette, do you have?
No, I had something on, I guess it falls under superintendent's report because it's part of the informationals that used to be superintendent's report, I guess. And we get the suspension list every, I guess, every month. We've had this discussion over the years I've been on the board, and certainly I, as a board member, don't think any board member wants to know about suspensions, any details, building principals and staff, you do your thing. But when I see on there, high school students suspended 10 days plus for threatening a teacher, that's one that maybe, I mean, is there ever, so my question is there ever a level where it could come to the board? I mean, if there ever was a level, if I see 10 days, 10 plus threaten a teacher, I'd like to know.
Yes, and the board will be acting on
Okay.
those in executive session on Monday night.
There you go. Good
There we
answer.
go. But the answer is that all boards have a responsibility after 10 days of suspension to determine whether or not the discipline needs to continue or not to continue. And that will happen at our next meeting.
Perfect.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Greg, you mentioned that at next week's session, we're going to be hiring a district appraiser. What for?
Yeah, Mr. Mamu, will you answer that?
Sure. We are required, Mrs. Haas, to, in order, part of the audit requirement is that we have to have a handle on our fixed assets. We, normally every year, our purchasing assistant, Mrs. Martello, goes through the process of reconciling it. But what this company does as the appraiser is they come in and they do an overhaul. They actually come in and label all the fixed assets. They kind of extend what Ms. Martello does for a few years. We do it once every 3 years. This is part of that process. So it's really just keeping up and matching our fixed assets to our audit report so that we're able to account for every item in the district that is labeled as a fixed asset. And a fixed asset, by definition, is any item above $2,000. So what they do is they kind of do an assessment for us, and then they tag items if necessary, because we try to keep updated with it, but they reconcile the audit report fixed asset to our fixed assets so that the board has a genuine list of inventory and equipment as required by law.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with real property.
Correct. No, it does not. No. Correct, Mrs. Haas.
I also have two little announcements, if this would be the appropriate time to make them.
Yeah, new business.
Oh, yay. Next week, on Tuesday night, a week from tomorrow night, I will be receiving from the Somerset County School Board Association the Master Board Member designation. And there's actually going to be a dinner. There's actually going to be a dinner at the Imperia, followed by a County School Board Association meeting on the fascinating tenure law. But if you want to come for the dinner part, it starts at 6 o'clock. It's free to board members. And of course, I'd love to have as many people there as possible. On Wednesday, May 21st, there will be also a groundbreaking for the Somerset County Educational Services Commission Career Center. We're hoping to have that open for next year, for starting next September for next year. And we're partnering with ShopRite, and we're going to have a ShopRite supermarket in the building. At the same time, we'll be teaching students supermarket skills in an actual ShopRite. And we also will be partnering with Vodtech for a small engines program in this building. And it's a very exciting initiative. You may see a huge pile of dirt as you go through Manville into Findurn. That's going to be the Career Center eventually. But we're having the groundbreaking on Wednesday, so 2 exciting things happening next week.
That's great. Thank you very much, Mrs. Haas. Does anyone else have anything at this time? No? Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Schiff.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask for the board's consideration of the following motions under the area of education: to approve professional and travel-related expenses, the HIB investigation list, changes in out-of-district placements, and field trip as listed.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any comments or discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, Mr. Mahmood?
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
And Ms. Wasson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank
I ask for the board's consideration of the following motions that I'm recommending under the area of human resources: to approve resignations, revise leaves of absences, revise long-term substitute, and to approve the following appointments: guidance counselor, instructional assistant, senior systems engineer, substitutes, and approve teacher, as well as transfers and changes in assignments for 2014-2015, and approve the renewal list of first-year teachers, second-year non-tenured teachers, and third-year non-tenured teachers, as well as approve renewal of instructional assistants, renewal of lunch aides, renewal of non-tenure certificated administrators, and approve student teachers, group changes, and that's all.
May I have a motion, please?
On behalf of the Human Resources Committee, I move that the board approve the items B1 through B14 in the action agenda.
May I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Roll call, Mr. Mahmood?
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Wassant?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I ask for the board's consideration of the following motions under the area of operations: to approve the agreements for the following school year with the Somerset County ESC. We already approved the ESIP, and to accept a donation from Bert Gunter for the amount of $20,000. This is in memory of Carol Gunter, who used to, and it will be used to purchase items for the Aris Library. Carol retired from our district in 2004 after 30 years of teaching. She was the first reading specialist at Aughton Road School. She loved reading, writing, and working with her students. She also volunteered at Mary Jacobs Library in Bridgewater, helping adult students read and write. We are very appreciative of the kind donation from her husband in honor of Carol Gunter. Also, I ask that you approve the revisions to the bylaws and policies for first reading as listed.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have to separate out C1.
Okay. So this will be for
C3.
items C3 and 4
Correct.
right now. Okay. So, let's call for motion.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a,
Well, actually, we have the motion,
We have the
just a
motion.
vote, basically.
okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Okay. Mrs. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
And Ms. Wassant?
Yes.
Motion passes.
May I have a motion to approve C1 on the agenda, please?
So moved.
May I have a
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Abstain.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Wassant?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Right now, I'm going to move, does the public have any old business at this time that they would like to bring up? Okay, seeing none, does the board have any old business that they would like to discuss? Mrs. Boguszewski.
When we were congratulating a bunch of the students, one student we forgot to congratulate is the first grader from Woods Road. The spelling bee from Woods Road,
We have to do that.
Freddie Gordon.
I believe we did? No, we didn't?
No.
Okay, so we will make sure that we support him and his effort with the spelling bee at our next board meeting. We'll make sure that he's aware of that. Thank you. And we apologize, Freddie. We'll make sure that you're on for our our next board meeting.
Anyone else? Any old business? No? And then our informational is as listed, so I'd actually like to ask for a motion for adjournment at this time. So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned.